This is Ann Peterson. I am a student at Brigham Young University, Idaho, and I will be doing a 4-part video series on marriage. All references and information are taken from Successful Marriages and Families, Proclamation Principles and Research Perspectives by Hawkins, Dolheit, and Draper. Copyright 2016, Brigham Young University. This is part 1, Getting Ready. All references for this first video are from chapters 1, 2, and 7. Marriage used to be this line that people thought, when I'm married, I'm a grown-up. And it isn't like that anymore. Neither is completing school or becoming a parent. Instead, we're using personally defined qualities like accepting yourself, achieving financial independence, or being your own decision maker. And most of our young people are deciding that marriage is something that we do later in life, way after we do these things. And some don't even value marriage at all. A while ago, we added the term tween to our developmental calendars, and now we have what's called an emerging adult. It's the period of life when the young adults have left adolescence and they're starting to see themselves as adults, but they're not quite in the commitments of the adult life. So the youth that we have today that are dating, they're in this pool that's very different from the norms that their moms and dads, and definitely grandmas and grandpas, were a part of. And this has 4 pitfalls. 1, growing pessimism about marriage and a focus on personal independence before and after marriage. 2, a primary focus on personal financial independence for both men and women. 3, widespread sexual permissiveness. And 4, high rates of couples living together before marriage or cohabitating. A lot of people think that marriages will end in divorce, and they have high aspirations, but they have very low expectations. There are well-documented economic benefits for married couples. Even those with lower incomes have greater financial security and better access to housing, food, and services like healthcare than people who have never been married or divorced or widowed. Previous generations valued caring for your spouse, your family, your children, but now we value personal independence and self-reliance. We want to pursue personal interests and become financially independent. And we don't want marriage to interrupt us. We have educational goals or career goals or personal goals. We want to be finished with school or be into our long-term career. We have replaced dating with hanging out or a hesitancy to commit in really any way. Recent studies have shown that young men are unwilling to marry because A, they can get sex without marriage, B, they are afraid that marriage will come with too many changes and compromises, C, they no longer face social pressures to marry, and D, they want to enjoy single life as long as they can. So cohabitation is taking over. Yet what we're finding is married people have greater life satisfaction, lower risk for depression, better mental health, and when people marry, they have seen a reduction in depressive symptoms and higher life satisfaction. And cohabitation, divorce, and single parenthood aren't a comparable alternative. So even if we decide that we want to get married and we go, okay, I'm ready, I'm going to get married, what we do is make a list. We go, okay, my spouse has to have this, and he has to have this, and he has to have this, and he has to have this. And, there just really isn't any perfect match. Elder Bednar said, as we visit with young adults all over the church, often they will ask, well, what are the characteristics I should look for in a future spouse? As though they have some checklist of, I need to find someone who has these 3 or 4 or 5 things. And I rather forcefully say to them, you are so arrogant to think that you are some catch. If you found somebody who had these 3 or 4 or 5 characteristics that you're looking for, what makes you think they'd want to marry you? The list is not for evaluating someone else. The list should be for you to become the kind of person ready for marriage. Those are the traits that you value, so they are the traits that you should become. You need to take on those characteristics so that you'll have a greater likelihood of finding that person. The number one thing that I wanted from a spouse was for it to not be me, to not be alone, which meant that that person was going to come with their own personality, their own thoughts and characteristics. Next, I wanted him to be a faithful member of our church, so I had to be a faithful member of our church. Also, I wanted him to be a man, so I should not punish him for being a man. I wanted that. I wanted someone who valued education, family, religion, security. But how did I find someone that had those things? I had to demonstrate that I valued education, family, religion, security. I had to demonstrate that it was important to me. A lot of times I'll talk to single adults and they'll say, well, marriage is my number one goal. And, actions speak louder than words. Because it looks like your number one goal is to read all the Harry Potters or upload a bunch of TikToks. You need to act as if your number one goal is what you say it is. We need to have a realistic understanding of marriage and the kind of attributes that we hope to have in our spouse. And sometimes it's okay to settle for Mr. Good Enough, who's a stable husband who might not share your passion for the exact same movies or the exact same books, but you're going to be there changing diapers and paying bills. You're going to be in their sickness and health. President Thomas S. Monson said, "Decisions determine destiny." A lot of people will say, you can't choose who you love. Yes, you can. You can choose who you love. Decisions determine destiny. We must look ahead to the type of marriage we want, set a course toward that goal, and then prepare every needful thing. We have to decide to commit to that. We don't want to accidentally slide into it. We want to make a decision and work toward that goal. Elder Oaks encourages frequent and simple dates. He stressed that the goal in the dates is conversation and interaction, not entertainment. It's nice to go and have fun, and it's nice to go and, do a fun activity, but the point of it is for you to better understand the person that you're there with by the end of the night. If you don't know anything about them that you didn't know before you started, then you didn't have a successful date. We want to look for a stable relationship more than a list of traits. What makes a good marriage? Distinguishing needs from wants. It helps us foster wise choices in a marriage partner. We want things like the ability to commit over things like college pedigree or height or type of hair. We need to view marriage as a couple relationship. Usually we talk about our personal happiness, our emotional gratification, or our physical attraction, or things like that. It is those things, but it's also commitment, sacrifice, selfless caring for your spouse, the benefits of children. It's also discipleship and covenant making and cleaving and equal partnership. It's responsibilities. It's understanding the eternal purpose of marriage and to seek alignment with God. It's cooperation and unity. Communication is one of the things that many young adults cite as an important trait in a stable relationship. But communication is defined as the ability to bargain, problem solve, and make decisions. It's not just about being able to express yourself. It's not just about I can say what I want and you don't get your feelings hurt. It's about being able to talk through things, hard things, conflicting things, and to be able to come out of them with a stable relationship, a better relationship. Lastly, when looking at a potential marital relationship, one should always seek spiritual confirmation. My husband tells this story, though, where he was praying because we were dating and he thought, oh, I think that she's the one I'm going to marry. And so he prayed and said, Heavenly Father, is he the one? And Heavenly Father, the answer that Heavenly Father gave him was, sure. And that felt a little underwhelming to him. He thought he was going to have a burning in his bosom. But instead of my husband turning away from that and going, oh no, it wasn't the golden frying pan, she's not my soulmate. Instead, he said, I decide. And this choice is pleasing to the Lord. He is happy for it to be the way it is. We have to make decisions in our own life. We drive our destiny. And if we can let ourselves be responsible for our own happiness, we will find it. I look forward to having our next marital discussion. Video 2 is Marriage, the Healthy Relationship. Thank you.